Now that we are almost at the end of this year, in this episode, I'll put the top 7 ETFs head to head and see which one is the winner in 2025. Meaning, if you had invested in January 1st in one of those ETFs, which ETF have delivered the highest return by today? And what factors drove that performance? If you think that tech ETF is the winner, you are wrong, because you will be surprised by the winner at the end of this episode. Also, I will tell you which ETF is going to be the winner in 2026, in my opinion. And also, I chose the best ETF in each sector in this video. And those ETFs are VOO, representing US stocks, VT, representing world stocks, SCHD, representing dividend stocks, IBIT, representing cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, GLD, representing gold, SLV, representing silver, and the Qs, triple Q, representing tech and AI. At the end of this episode, I will give you one stock to buy now as a bonus, as I think it will skyrocket next year. If you think you learned something new from my videos, please give this video a like and let's start. So the first ETF is Schwab with a ticker SCHD, which is dividend stocks ETF. This ETF is the only ETF out of the 7 that is a negative return year to date. Schwab returned negative 2.11 year to date as I'm recording right now. These are the holdings for Schwab. The main reason why Schwab didn't perform well in 2025 is because it's a defense ETF, and 2025 has been favoring growth or tech-oriented stocks. Let's move on to the next ETF, which is the second one, and that is IBIT. This ETF represents cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. It is the second lowest performer out of the 7 with only positive 6.2 return year to date, underperforming the S&P 500. This ETF is holding only Bitcoin, so this is basically the performance of Bitcoin. Bitcoin did not perform well in year 2025, and that is because it had a very strong year last year, 2024. With a return of plus 140%. Some of the weaker performance in 2025 reflects the fact that it needed even stronger catalyst to continue running this year. Let's move on to the third ETF, and that is VOO, which represents US stocks or the S&P 500. This ETF is always considered the base, meaning if you perform better than VOO, you are beating the market, and if you perform worse, you are underperforming the market. VOO returned 16.31% year to date. This gives us an indication that 2025 was a good year in stock market. These are the top holdings for VOO. Let's move on to the fourth ETF, and that is VT, which represents world stocks. VT outperformed the market with a return of 19.65% year to date. These are the top holdings for VT. As you can see, VT's top holdings are mostly tech stocks, and year 2025 was favoring tech and AI stocks, which helped VT outperform the market. Let's move on to the fifth ETF, and that is triple Q, the Qs, which represent tech and AI stock. Some people think it represents Nasdaq, but that's not accurate because the Qs excludes banks and insurance companies and only includes tech and AI. The Qs outperformed the market with a year-to-date return of 22.09%. Here are the top holdings. Same story, the Qs outperformed the market because year 2025 was favoring tech and AI stocks. Let's move on to the sixth ETF, and that is GLD, which represents gold. Gold outperformed the market by a lot with a year-to-date return of 45.97%. That is insane. Who can believe that in 2025 gold outperformed Tesla, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Apple? If I told you that in the beginning of 2025, you would have made fun of me. So let's move on to the last ETF, which has the highest return year-to-date, and that is SLV, representing silver. Silver has a year-to-date return of 54.8%. That is insane. There are a couple of reasons that drove silver and gold to increase more than 50% in only 1 year. And the main reason is lowering interest rate. When Federal Reserve hint at a rate cut or slow tightening and printing more dollars, investors tend to move from cash to gold and silver as a hedge against decreasing value of the dollar. We have seen how the dollar value decreased or dropped a lot after COVID. Another main reason is the geopolitical tension between countries. 2025 was a year full of wars. Add to that global trade war during these times. Investors tend to go to safe haven assets during these times. Another reason is that central banks increased its purchase to gold. When investors like you and me see central bank is increasing its purchase to gold, they know there is something cooking. They fear and start to follow what central bank is doing, and they start buying gold and silver. Now, which ETF will be the winner in 2026? Well, 2025 was clearly gold and silver's year, but I think 2026 will be tech and AI year, which means I think the Qs will be the winner. The series of Fed rate cuts that will be in 2026 will ignite the stock market, which will favor tech and AI stocks. And let's not forget also small caps. Tech and AI stocks are valuated only on revenue, not only on revenue, but also on future growth. Rate cuts will reduce discount rates on future earnings, which will make tech and AI stocks increase. I think 2026 will have less geopolitical tension, let's hope. And in 2025, we had so much drama. We had Russia-Ukraine war was still going on. Israel-Iran war was escalating. Tariff and trade war between US and China. Government shutdown. All these things made investors fear, and that's why we saw investors keep their money in safe havens like gold and silver, which made them hit unprecedented returns in only 1 year, more than 50%. At the end, no one knows the future, including myself. I can only guess based on data that I have and research that I do. Every week I will update you about the market, and I will give you an educated guess based on what I think and on the research that I do. And finally, to the bonus point, which stock will outperform the Mag 7 or outperform the market 2026? Well, I think 2026 will be Meta and Amazon's year. Both of these stocks were compressed in 2025 due to headwinds like high capex and regulatory noise. Also, Meta's forward PE is only 20 and Amazon's forward PE is 35. These are good indications. Mag 7 did well in 2025. Most of them hit all-time high. These two will catch up. I expect Meta to have 35 plus percent returns, and in 2026, and Amazon 45% plus returns. Again, no one knows what the future will be, but we all can make an educated guess based on future projections using math and not feelings and emotions. Because in the stock market, as soon as you make decisions based on your feelings and emotions, know that you are screwed. I've been there. But how much Meta stock price will be in 2026 and 2027? I made a video where I broke down the future projection on what Meta stock price will be in 2026, the bear case, the base case, and the bull case, and that's why I said that. If you want to know what the stock price of Meta will be in 2026 and 2027, watch this video.